Welcome everyone to Not Your Typical
Girl Talk.
My name is Garcia.
My name is Kenneth.
And we're just waiting for our co-host, Miss Toshiba Billings. What?
Hey.
What?
Hey.
What?
Hey.
What?
Hey.
What?
Hey.
And today we are talking about something very, very important. Something that makes us all laugh, actually, which is cancel culture.
Oh. Come on, guys. Oh. Oh.
What's happening?
I'm trying to hear Sheba, and for some reason, oh.
Okay.
Oh. You know, these things happen when you're live.
These things happen when you're live.
And that's what makes being live so authentic. So it's like, of course, you know, nothing's wrong with this. This is just Instagram and WhatsApp trying to not make us be great. But you know what? It's going to work out, so don't worry. As you were saying, please continue.
While we are
Me
here
and Sheila,
chatting, I would love to know who has been somewhat canceled in your world. And that can't only, and I don't mean even just, you know, celebrities, famous people, public figures. I also mean just in life in general, because you know what? Sometimes you need to do the cancel thing even on, you know, some family members and,
okay, here we go.
You know. So,
true.
You know. So we want to know, who have you canceled, you know, in your life along with some celebrities? Hey, girl!
What up, boo?
Hey. What's going on?
How goes it?
It goes.
Hey.
Hey.
See, I do this. See, it's all
I'm just
good.
gonna
It's all good.
change the angle.
It's all good.
So
First year, filling the time, being like, it's all good. This happens.
It happens. It's called technology.
Right, and we're adaptable. So we are here.
We are here. It's Saturday. The weather is popping. We're all looking fine.
Yes.
It's a good day. It's a good day.
Continue, Garcia. I heard you asking a question about who's been canceled, so go on.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying that, you know, along with, you know, some public figures, you know, you might be thinking of, well, I actually canceled, I don't know, you probably canceled, you know, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or former best friend, whoever you canceled, someone said or did something. I have a feeling that the cancel culture is now just leaking into our everyday lives, because I imagine a lot of coworkers got canceled.
Cancel!
I've canceled a lot of coworkers.
You know?
Real talk.
Like,
there's some people that I have no shame in it.
Like, since,
no shame in it.
Since everything that has gone down, as we know, through social media, through Facebook, I've heard a lot of people say, you know, she was my friend for 15 years. And you know what? After everything that went down and to see how she reacted to the latest things that are going on, or someone that's just too much into the COVID-19 conspiracy theories, some people are like, you know what? Canceled.
Some people deserve it. I mean,
like, you know,
cancel culture, it has, I mean, some things don't need to be like fully canceled. Like if your friend says something to you that's, you know, nothing derogatory or anything like that, you seem like getting a stupid little hissy fit and you're like, well, I'm canceling you. It's kind of like, okay, chill. Like sometimes the cancel culture goes a little too far.
Definitely.
But I totally agree with what you're saying when it comes to, you know, like, well, what you're talking with Black Lives Matter, for example, on social media, a lot of people opened up saying, hey, there were some friends that I had that I thought were my friend. And then I realized that, yo, they were the enemy all this time. And they had to just put, you know, an X on them, which it has to be done.
And that's understandably so, right? And that's one of those things where I can agree with that, because it's present day and it's present time and you're looking at present behavior, right? And there is a lot of closeted racists and bigots that kind of came out, girl, okay, that told on themselves and are still telling on themselves during this time. So understandably so, you're going to say, you know what, you don't align with what I'm about, nor do you even like the skin I'm in. So therefore, you got to get canceled.
Yeah.
Right? You just got being done like, new phone, who this on them, right?
Yeah.
My issue with the cancel culture is the mob mentality surrounding cancel culture when they go and dig up things from 2060, 1996 or 1975,
Right.
and all of a sudden they're bringing these things to life
Yeah.
and saying, well, based on what someone said 20 years ago, we are now going to cancel them, right?
Yeah.
I'm all about, listen, there people say, leopards can't change its spots and certain things like that. And there may be some truth to that, but I think I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago.
Exactly.
No, and you know what?
Thank
To be
you.
honest, Toshiba, in what I believe, and this is my belief, maybe some people don't believe it, everything that a human being acquires, it's a behavior. And behaviors, they're hard to break, but they can be broken.
True.
A person that has hate in their heart, if they decided that, you know what, I need to be more open-minded, I need to start reading certain books, I need to start watching certain movies, I need to start talking to people, they can change. Like, people can change. That is the one great thing about humans, is that we have the ability to change if we want to.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, even this morning I said to you, I was like, this time last year,
you were
I
completely
was
different
not
people.
the person sitting here. And we have all known each other for a long time. So
for a while.
You've seen about 7 different versions of me. I've seen
Right.
about 7 different versions of you.
I'm a Gemini, so I got double.
There's like 14 of
I got
you.
multiple personalities.
Yeah,
so
there's
you
14
see, like,
of
20
you.
versions of me already.
Right? So, like, the idea that to say that people are so, overtly programmed that we can't change, I don't fully believe that. I believe people can change. And sometimes we change without even knowing we've changed.
Absolutely, right? There is the conscious decision to change. Like, I've made, in the last year and a half, 2 years, I've made a conscious decision to implement certain behaviors to allow for change to happen in my life, right? Because I made a conscious effort to change. Yeah. Now, there's certain things that have happened that I've inevitably changed. Why? Because I've grown up, right? I've been, when you surround yourself with different people, when you go through different experience, like, the one constant in life is change. And so even though I'm all about, if something doesn't align, someone is not, vibing on the same energy, cancel. But it's about the here and now, and not about the, 1996 post that you dug up from them that they didn't know anything. So now let's talk about some of the people like Kanye West. We're canceling Kanye West. We're canceling Terry Crews. We canceled Nick Cannon. I think people are canceling Helen right now. We cancel, there's just a bunch of people. And what's problematic for our community as the Black community is we only have so many people to look up to.
Agreed. So
when we're so quick to cancel, what we're not recognizing, it's that programming to shift us to make sure that the people who have made it, we're pushing them to the side. Who else are we going to have? So listen, Kanye, let's start with Kanye.
Let's start there.
Okay. So this is my personal belief with Kanye. And yes, Kanye has said some incredible stuff in his career, from George Bush hates Black people to I'm gonna let her finish, but Beyonce's album was the best album of all time.
Don't forget that slavery was a choice.
And then slavery was a choice. And then
and this whole thing they did in
Harriet Tubman didn't see the slaves.
And then the entire hour-long
thing he did
the
presidential thing.
Now, the reason why I have not canceled Kanye. And this is the reason why. Kanye does have a mental health issue.
Agreed.
Like, it is obvious that he is not perhaps taking his medication. There are a lot of yes people around him that are allowing him to not take care of himself.
Exactly. His behavior is being rewarded. If
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
Too many yes people.
Yeah, and he's being allowed to do this because of the sake of the art. I wouldn't cancel Kanye because I really do believe that half the time he's not really aware of what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't cancel him. And I don't know, maybe people will say, oh, you're just biased, because I do enjoy Kanye as an artist. I think
absolutely.
that he's a very talented producer, musician.
Yep.
I do believe that he has an eye for marketing and for, what he's done with Yeezy and what he's done with his entire fashion line. I think it's very innovative.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't cancel him because for me, he hasn't hit that note for me where it's like, dude, you're canceled. Was it totally wrong to say that slavery was a choice? Hell yes, it was totally wrong, and I don't agree with it, and that's not cool. But I am not canceling him because of it.
No, and like you said too, because he does have a mental issue, it's kind of hard to cancel someone that's already publicly mentally unwell. Like, that he's going to have these moments where he sprats out and says something that he should not have said in the first place. But I'm with you on that. I can't cancel Kanye. He has too many good hits, and he's just an amazing, he's an amazing rapper. Like, I'm a fan, and it's like, somewhere underneath all that madness, there's still old school Kanye.
I think there is a sensible young man.
There is, and one
when
day
he's fully
he'll recover, and he'll be back to his old self, which could be scary also. But you know what? That's Kanye.
Listen, if I learn anything from Kanye is I want someone to love me as much as Kanye loves Kanye, right? Like, Kanye is a complicated, multifaceted, interesting individual, right?
Yes.
And mob mentality would tell me that I should cancel Kanye, right? And hearing some of the very ludicrous things that he does say would make you say cancel, cancel, cancel. But the problem with me personally canceling Kanye is I have to question myself if simply because someone says something that I disagree with, I'm so quick to judge, right? Not understanding why and their reasoning for saying it. And again, you couple with the fact that we know he's mentally unwell, and who knows what's going on in the Kardashian curse household.
Girl.
It's not easy for us to cancel a man who will one day be, right? Exactly, right? Okay, he's an icon of sorts, right? Like, he's done and transcended industries and done things, and there is a brilliance in his madness, and we can learn from the brilliance in his madness. And if we again keep going with this mob mentality that every time someone displeases us, because a lot of people do that, right? They're displeased by someone in their life and they're canceling them, as opposed to understanding them. Yes, clearly he knows slavery is not a choice. Harriet Tubman did, free the slaves. She did not go make them work for other white people, right? Like, it's all of this ludicrous, right? There's a brilliance in his madness, and I think we as a community need to open up our arms and collectively embrace him and figure out how we help him, instead of pushing people to the side. And this is going to be an extreme example, but in our community, often if a child comes and says that they're homosexual or a lesbian or bisexual, the first thing we think is, Lord Jesus Christ, you're going to hell. And we're dashing the kids outside and not truly beginning to understand them. And the problem is, when you do that to your child, you are throwing them out into society that already doesn't accept them, and God knows what will happen, right? So we can't throw Kanye out and just say, yo, dude, you're done. We need to be able to understand him and wrap him. Like, to me, cancel culture doesn't allow you to be human. Like, he's a human being.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like, why is it? And when we talk about cancel culture, I really do think about Black people, because I can confidently say that cancel culture, even the term cancel culture, I feel was coined by our community. And having an opinion, I know that sometimes our culture is so tight knit that we're like, oh, well, you're Black, so you must believe this. And these are the beliefs that all Black people have. And if you don't have it, you're not Black enough.
You're not take your Black card.
You get discounted as a Black person. And I think it's time for us to start saying to ourselves, okay, you know what? You may not agree with, Dwayne Wade being okay with, a transgendered, daughter.
Right.
Because I've seen some people get really rough on
people
him.
have gone beside
saying,
themselves.
how dare you accept, that your son is doing this or whatever. And it's just like, okay, wait a minute. Your personal opinion has nothing to do with what this man does in his household. Exactly.
It's not your child.
Like, why are you going to cancel someone and discredit, all the work that they've done in basketball, all the work they've done in athletics, in sports in general, and pop culture, and therefore say, well, they're canceled because they choose to raise their child in this way?
It's true.
Let's be a bit more open-minded. I'm not telling you that you need to go do exactly what he's doing, but I am telling you that you should just be like, hey, man, that's his house, not mine.
And that's I love what you just said there. That's his house.
Yeah.
Meaning it's none of your business.
Right.
Let the man and his family do what they need to do. It's his child. Why do you care if his son wants to relate as a woman? Are they paying your bills? You knowing this, how does that affect you? And that's where I kind of draw the line with this whole culture thing, with the cancel culture. It's like, well, that's his house. Leave him alone. It's his decision to accept his son or daughter for whatever they want to be. Does that take away from his game? Does it take away from what he's done in the whole NBA?
Humanity or the earth? No.
He's not hurting anybody, and his family has nothing to do with you. So you can't cancel him. Come on.
This is what people.
Well, you're right. I mean, oh God.
And what exactly should he do with his daughter or son, however you want to? What exactly would you recommend him do? What would you recommend him do? Mess up his child for the rest of their life by not accepting and being on this journey with him? Because again, that you said that's none of your business, that's their household, but what is the alternative? So cancel culture would say, no, Dwayne, don't accept your son as your daughter because he's too young, and all of the myriad of reasonings. But what is the alternative? Because at the end of the day, you are a parent. And as a parent, fundamentally, when you have a child, you're supposed to embrace and love and accept that child through it all. Because I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer's mother still loves him, even though he's a mass murderer and crazy person. It's his mother. So therefore, or father. So they're going to love their child regardless. So at the love of a parent, why do you cancel someone for doing what our community says that a father is supposed to do anyways? He's present in his child's life and he's there for his son. So you know what I'm saying? Like cancel culture, this is why it makes me laugh. This is why, in our promo video today, when you see the meme of Chadwick and he's giving all the things and cancel culture is like, no, we don't do that here, because that's the reality. It's one of those things where, guess what? Someone said something, I pulled this up, they're canceled. And then Black Twitter reposts, and then everybody is saying such and such is canceled. And you're like, no, hold on a second here.
Wait a minute. Yeah, like, why are we not allowed to have our own opinion? And
thank you.
Like a lot of people, for instance, the best thing, and right now we're not all going to parties right now, but, R. Kelly, Michael Jackson pops up on, on the DJs, tunes, and, people start looking around like,
who's gonna make the first move?
Who's gonna make the first
move?
move?
Who's gonna step in the name of love first?
Are we gonna step in the name of love? Are we gonna say,
are we gonna do the moonwalk?
Yes. Are we going to sing Do You Remember the Time?
Are you gonna say, are you okay, Annie?
Yeah, are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? One of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. But are you going to stand up and say, you know what, man, this is a jam? And, it's hard. It's hard. Because even I'm sitting here and I'm like, step in the name of love.
It's hard not to.
But the man is literally sitting in prison right now. And I'm just like,
what do you do? R.
Kelly is so talented. And I think that's what gets me when the next question is, can you detach an artist from the bad stuff?
A lot of
Can you
people
separate it? A lot of people can.
Yeah.
Which is why R. Kelly is still,
He's still
making
making
money,
money.
streaming. This is why, you know, like some of my older relatives, you can't tell them nothing about Michael Jackson. They're like,
No.
listen,
Well, you
Michael
can't tell me
Jackson is
nothing.
always going to play in this house. And if people have a problem with it,
Forever.
they can
They
go.
can go
And I'm
outside,
like, hey,
yeah.
man, I have no issue with listening to Michael Jackson. I think he was one of the greatest
He's a pioneer of music
performers
history.
in
You
the
can't take that
world
away from
ever,
somebody.
right? So, but cancel culture again will come and say, no, you can't support that person. Now, of course, we're sitting here and already I think we've mentioned a few people that aren't really canceled in our lives, but there are some people that I have canceled for real. Like Toshiba, who have you actually canceled?
Candace Owens is canceled.
Oh, girl. Yeah.
Canceled. She would never even really made an appearance, but that bitch canceled. Like, she's canceled. And why she's canceled is because she is making a mockery of our race, right? Not because she's done one individual thing. It's because time and time and time and time and time again, she's playing to the massa, right? Like everything she does is a play to the massa.
Yeah.
And I can disagree with you. There are certain people that you may not agree with again, but you can understand their perspective.
Right.
There is nothing that she says that I have heard, and I haven't gone back in all of the history, but she says things for shock value.
Yeah.
And it's things against the Black community. Because even when she brings up relevant points, she then uses them and slaps us in the face with them, right? And so I can't personally agree and rock with Candace Owens. R. Kelly, I put him on a pause.
Yeah.
He wasn't canceled, but I did put him on a swift. Let me get back to you.
Yeah.
Let's get back. I'm gonna get back to you in a second because I need a moment. I need a moment. So I took my moment. And again, Robert and R. Kelly, right? Like there's Robert and there's R. Kelly. There's the artist and the man. The man himself needed help, and because he didn't get help, ended up where he is. R. Kelly, the musical genius, I'm a step. 1, 2.
Yeah. I
agree.
You know, and the one thing about Candace that I don't enjoy is that I agree. Everyone is allowed to have their opinion. The thing is, when I talk about our community, I usually talk about the issues I have with my own community with others that look like me. I will not talk about it, with other races because
to the strangers.
Right. I won't do it. Now, the idea, and what I don't also like about her is that she's never stood up for her own.
No.
She's never taken a point and said, whoa, you know what? Yeah, that's racism. Or, yeah,
no,
that's problematic. That's a problem.
She's the token.
No matter what, she'll always side with the
massa.
And to me, that, you know, I have a problem with it because this, to me, it makes it look like she will never stand up for herself, for her own people. And it looks like she's got self-hate. That's my opinion on her. And she was never there. So she's been canceled since I heard about her. Just kidding.
That part.
And R. Kelly, I would say.
R. Kelly, I agree with you. He's on pause.
He's on pause. I love him as a musician.
His personal life.
He's very talented.
He needed help.
But he should go to jail for what he has done
Absolutely.
for women. He's disgusting in that sense.
But stuff in the name of love.
But also, it's a shame. It's a shame that, you know, so much beautiful music had come out of someone who obviously has very deep rooted problems that never got the help they needed before they started victimizing and hurting other young women, specifically women that looked like us. And that's very, very sad. What about Bill Cosby?
Oh, sorry. That's who I was thinking of.
Bill Cosby, because it's funny, because even this all has happened, we all grew up watching him. He was the TV dad. So you're just like, oh, dad, because that's just, you're so used to that.
He looks like our dad, right? Like, that's the thing, too.
Like, he could be any of our dads.
Yeah.
He does. So it's kind of, But you know what, too? It's like what you're saying earlier, Toshiba, with things that happened like back in like the 70s, for example. I'm not saying that he shouldn't. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm not saying it. If he did rape out these women, then yes, you should punish for it. But our thing is this: if someone, God forbid, someone rapes someone in this house, someone that we know, you've been raped, and you're gonna wait for years to pass, and then you're gonna blackmail. Okay.
These are all the 10, 20, 30.
Wait.
40.
I just want to clarify too, because I know that people are going to come back and say, oh, we can't discredit the person's experience and you don't know what the person's been through. I get it.
I get it.
I understand. However, there are some things that, and I'm not going to go too far into it because this could literally, but there are some things that make you, question, the actions of people, because if you had the sense to blackmail, why didn't you just go get a lawyer and from the get-go do a civil case? From the get-go. Why did you try everything you could just to get money?
And then some of the things that they said, whatever happened between him and an individual would happen. And then the woman would say the next 2 weeks, they'd go on vacation together. So then you're like, wait a minute then. So was it a rape? Or was this just you now trying to jump on the bandwagon because all these other women came out and probably really did have, real experiences where they were raped by him? I don't know. I wasn't there. And like you say, I'm not discrediting what they're saying. But it's just, they waited so long. And it's because you stopped getting money from the cow. Now you want to say something.
He's not canceled for me. That's all I'm going to say. He wasn't canceled. He'll never be canceled. I will watch The Cosby Show. I will watch every other show. You can't tell me that I can't. And that will be that. And it doesn't mean I believe him and I don't believe them. It simply means for me, I'm not simply going to go with the mob who said we should automatically cancel.
Right. You're not attaching the art, which is The Cosby Show, which inspired basically how the sitcom formula works. If you're
Kenya Barris would not have come up with Blackish if it were not for
thank you.
Even some of the white sitcoms,
Friends would not be without the format
for how a family sitcom works, whether white, black, Asian, whatever. Kim's Convenience on CBC is inspired by The Cosby Show. The Cosby Show is standard.
It set the bar.
So yes, it's hard to say, well, I'm just going to go through life and never
pretend it never happened.
Make reference to Theo. I'm never going to make reference to Denise. I'm never going to, let's not. We're not going to do that.
No.
And it's interesting because, again, Karsi, you said it best when you're like, people will kind of look to see whether or not you're going to make the first move. If I'm in the club when clubs reopen and R. Kelly stepping, I'm a step. I don't care if I'm the only one stepping because the music moves me. I'm moved by the music. It has nothing to do. Mm-hmm. I completely get that, Robert was a narcissistic, evil man, right? Yep. But that was also because Robert didn't get the help he needed when he was molested, because again, people weren't worried about that. They wanted him to go out there and create some hits. And you know what? I have to realize that Robert and his brilliance and madness created R. Kelly. I get that, but R. Kelly was because Robert didn't get help, right? And we can't go. We have to. And the problem with the cancel culture for me is it doesn't deal with the reality of what has gotten people to where we want to cancel them.
Right.
Why and how did we fail people in our community, and how do we continue to fail people? I brought up the point of a homosexual child in a family. How often are we failing children, who then become adults because we refuse to deal with that issue? And so they go out into the world and all of these crazy things happen. And when the crazy things happen, we cancel them instead of acknowledging the root cause of the issue, because we're now in this place where nobody cares about the truth. The truth, the facts, why did they say it, why did they did it, how did it happen? Nobody wants to actually, and we've talked about it on our show, use critical thinking to determine why we are here.
That's
right? It's just cancel.
And you know what, too? Like, and this is like a thing that I've been thinking about recently because of Black Lives Matter, and now because the world has collectively decided that, you know, we have the collective conscious now that, hey, racism is wrong. So now we have people, non-Black people, going out and looking at their friends, you know, threads from 2001 and pulling up everything that seemed somewhat shady, somewhat sexist, somewhat racist, somewhat homophobic, and pulling up these little things and saying, oh, look what she said 15, 20 years ago. She's racist. Everyone cancel her. And I've noticed that this is now the thing. And I find that it's all, most of it is non-Black people pulling up the receipts. And, you know,
but
I'm
don't
like,
people have lives?
well, this is what I have to say about it. This is what I have to say. At one time, I want to remind the world that at one time, people thought it was okay to use terms like, you know, wigger or, you know, homosexual terms. Like, people thought it was, people thought it was collectively the conscious of mankind that, oh, it's okay to say that. Oh, it's okay to do that. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, that's fine. And now that we've all now grown and we all understand, oh, racism, now we want to go back and pull up things of people that didn't know better. It was a different time. And then say, oh, this person's racist. And yes, a leopard never changes its spots. But the thing is, it's like, why can't we have an open mind and say, wow, okay, you know what? It was 1950, man. Like, in 1950, this is what people were saying to Black people. You know, like, that was the world. The conscience of the world was that this is how it's going to be. You know, like I remember saying to someone, I'm like, listen, you're here talking about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau doing blackface when he was like in college or a teenage, whatever, you know, trying to be Michael Jackson. I'm like, I bet if I searched your parents' archives, we could find them also doing blackface with Michael Jackson, because that's what all the white people were doing in the 1980s, because Michael Jackson's damn cool and people wanted to be like him. So Halloween used to be the biggest time for people to do blackface, and no one said anything about it. But now that we know it's wrong, everyone's pulling up receipts from their friends and saying, oh, look at my racist friend. Oh, this person's racist. Get them kicked out of school. And, you know, this is something that they did like, you know, 25 years ago. And
yeah, clearly the cancel culture has gone a little too far.
To me, it's like, okay, obviously that person's not going to go do blackface now.
We hope. And if they do, that's when you cancel them, right? But that's when you cancel them, right? Like, to me, you know, going back to what I said in the beginning, you know, I'm not the same person I am, you know, I was 20 years ago. However, if you see the trait in me that you saw, that you're like, yes, she needs to be canceled, then cancel me. If my current behavior is such that you're like, her current behavior is clearly reflective of the person that she is, cancel me, right? Like, 45 is canceled because he's been a racist, he continues to be a racist, he is sexist, racist, homophobic, everything that you can think of, and he is, right? Because he's shown himself to be. Now, if you pulled up something from the 1980s when he was a racist back then because he wasn't wanting to rent his properties to Black people, which a lot of us do, had he changed and now was this wonderful, amazing person, you could say, you know what? In 30 years, he learned the error of his ways. In 40 years, he learned the error of his ways because he was introduced, or whatever the case might be. So that's the thing. If you're seeing signs in me today that say, you know what, this behavior is cancelable. Like, because she's doing this right now, this is why a lot of people did cancel R. Kelly, right?
Yes.
Why? because it wasn't something he did when he was peeing on girls in the 90s. He was peeing on them in 2019, right? 2018. Like he was still doing this predatory behavior. So for a lot of people, it was like, yes, cancel him because he's continued with the same way.
When they caught up on him, the truth is that he had girls that had just turned 19, still living in his house, and
he had no desire to change. He was still living this nasty lifestyle.
What is going on? And that's why I would never, talk down on someone for feeling that way about him. Because, what he's done, again, we all agree that, the man definitely was supposed to be helped, and no one was there to help him. So it created, unfortunately, a situation where he put somewhat of the same punishment on young Black women, young Black girls. And, it's devastating. And it's a shame to see that someone who was naturally gifted, with a God-given talent, his teachers said that it's like, this kid's going to direct operas before he leaves high school. Like, he's that gifted. Yet the gift was, on one side of the brain. And then, unfortunately, the abuse and the trauma that he had seen was on this side. And it just overtook the natural talent that he has. So it's
absolutely. Mm-hmm. A person, and so we're going to talk another person. We've got time probably to talk about, but a person that's bothering me right now that people have decided to cancel, and I didn't dig deep enough into the statements and all of this stuff, but it's Nick Cannon. Okay? Nick Cannon has been on the front line of Black Lives Matter and every other thing that you can think of, lending his face, his voice, his money, his influence in moving things forward. So as I understanding, Nick Cannon has recently, something came out that he said something that appeared to be anti-Semitic. I can't say that it is or it was. I didn't, again, dig deep enough. But all of a sudden, it was cancel, because whatever took away his show. And then, this person, he apologized, and this person said, well, he needs to be canceled for apologizing. And then some people, before he apologized, well, he should be canceled because he didn't apologize. And it was like, cancel. And it was just like, yo, hold on a second here. Let's really dig into what he said. Because when people start digging into what he said, there are a lot of people who actually were on board with what he said because they saw it for more than what was written. They understood why he said what he said, right? And then they started uncovering. But a lot of people were, well, the majority wants to cancel Nick Cannon despite what he's doing. We only have so many people, guys. Listen,
our pool
Black
is very
people.
Small. We don't have
we only have so many of us. If we are canceling everybody, we cancel Kevin. People want to cancel Kevin Hart because they dug up something that he said that was homophobic he's a comedian, by the way.
From 10, 15 years ago?
Ellen's in her own drama right now, but they tried to even do it with Ellen too, saying that she has said some things about the gay community and they dug it up from from 15 years ago. And I'm like,
but okay, she's one of them.
First of all, she is a part of the gay community.
Part of the gay community.
And that was literally from,
she's a comedian.
I don't know.
Comedians do that.
For me, that sort of stuff, anything a comedian says, actually, I'm different with comedians because their job is to be.
They make fun of
everything
around them. That's their job.
Everything.
They're to pattern interrupt. Their job is to make you go, wait, what?
Yeah, they make you think twice. That's their job, to kind of make, erupt everything, kind of mess you up. So, comedians, like, then cancel Dave Chappelle.
They're not going to be funny, right? They're not.
Which I will never do.
They are not going to be funny if they're not, pulling out stereotypes.
That's it.
You can't have a politically correct comedian.
Exactly.
It doesn't even make, that doesn't even sound right, me saying. Right? You can't have a comedian who's politically correct thinking about who they're going to offend by what words. What words do I use? You know, LGBTQ, or do I take off the Q, or do I say, like, you're not funny
Exactly.
because that's
It's
not
their
even
job.
real.
They say what's on everyone else's mind, and they say it with passion, and that's the point of a comedian.
I agree.
So you can't really cancel comedians.
I agree.
They're doing their job.
And
Well, they certainly did.
when it comes to Nick Cannon, so here's the thing with Nick Cannon,
What
and I know what he said. I
he said
read
something about
he said, you know,
white
basically
people
white
being
people
animals
are the
or something
monsters.
like that. Yeah.
And then he said, you know, like, you know, black people are the real Jews.
Right.
And,
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
Okay. Yeah.
it's a thing. However, so this is my finding on Nick Cannon and what he said. I'm not out here being a Nick Cannon fan. I've never been a huge fan of Nick Cannon. I obviously know who he is. I respect the way he's done business through his time. He's a very rich man. Very early on, he figured out how to do things. He's like the younger version of Steve Harvey. You know, he's like out here doing a lot of things where I'm like, hey man, good job. So because of that, I'll be honest, I haven't canceled him. I haven't canceled him because he had an opinion that is not. Now, if I were his PR person, I would have been like, why did you say that? Because in truth, he said some things where it's like, dude, you know this is I think CBS.
Yes, it was CBS.
Yeah. You know, this is not BET. This is not the culture station. Saying that stuff is going to get you, it's going to get you a meeting in the boardroom with all the heads of the network.
Yeah.
And, you know, I leave him with his opinion. Like, do I fully agree with every single thing he said? No. I am more of the school of, dude, you know better than that. You shouldn't have said that. Because the thing is that Nick Cannon has been loved by he's been loved by the white community. Yes, for forever, since Nickelodeon. You know, since he was a kid on Nickelodeon, he's been loved and embraced, which is great. I'm happy for that. We need that in order for some of us to grow and get to where we're going. But you know, in recent years, sometimes he's done some stuff where I'm like, I don't get it. Like even the turban thing, like
that was
wearing
was something I didn't understand.
The turban thing for fun, for fashion. I'm like,
but to each their own.
But I haven't canceled him though, because again, what he said to me, he didn't go out and hurt anyone. I'm more of the person like, did you murder someone or did you sexually assault someone? Did you abuse someone? That is more where I start going towards cancel. But if you had an opinion, like even if your opinion was, oh yeah, all black girls, you know, they be ghetto like that. If that's what he said, I'd be like, okay,
that's his opinion.
I'm not gonna date you, so I don't really care what you have to say.
Well,
and therefore,
yeah.
would I cancel you? No.
It's your opinion.
And listen, there are a lot of people who agree with Nick Cannon, right? Like, we all know Jesus isn't white.
Right.
So, therefore, if Jesus isn't white,
we all know
it means that the first Jews are black.
Right.
Simple. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
real
1 + 1 = 2. So, he wouldn't be wrong. If your belief is that Jesus is not white, because if you read the Bible, I don't know white people with coarse hair, right? Like, with I don't understand it. I see you guys are paused for a second, but I was saying, you guys heard me. Okay, good. But I was saying, if your belief is that Jesus is Black, and your belief is that the Jews were the first people, then one could only bring it together to say what Nick Cannon said you believe. Because if he's saying that the Blacks were the first Jews, and you believe Jesus is Black, and Jesus is a Jew, he would be right. However, the platform on which he said it, like you said, I believe it's CBS, that platform is not for us, right? Like that platform isn't where we are necessarily embraced. And like you said, Garcia, in the beginning, when you're speaking about your people, you should speak to your people, because it is going to be misconstrued in a different audience, right? But if you put it together, you know what I'm saying? And if Nick Cannon, and who knows what he actually said, because we know editing is a bitch, right? Like, this is why we don't edit our show, right? We don't edit our show because you get raw, uncut. This is what you get, right? But we know editing is a thing. And we don't know what Nick Cannon actually said before all of that was probably spliced together. But again, 1 + 1 = 2. So again, if you believe that Jesus is Black and you believe that Jesus was a Jew, you would also then believe that what Nick Cannon said is correct, right? And so people are so quick to cancel someone because it is the in thing to do right now, and because of mob mentality. My background is in psychology. When you study psychology, and my daughter is doing it now, and if she was here, she'd probably agree. And Psychology 101, one of the first things they talk to you about in that course is mob mentality. This is why when people say fire, people run. Nobody stops. I'm not the person who runs, actually. I'm the person who's like, fire. I don't smell anything. I don't see anything. Why are we running? Right? This is why mob mentality makes people take out their phones before they go and help people, because everyone else is around. And when you question people, why didn't you help? They said, because I was waiting to see what someone else did or no one else did. So cancel culture has become mob culture, right? Everything, it's because, well, Black Twitter said that we should cancel them, so therefore we should. Or Black Twitter says that this is cool, so therefore it's cool. Black Twitter says we hate this, and so therefore we hate this. And it's like, I'm sorry, does someone actually have a personal opinion? And guess what? If your personal opinion is against the masses, you are now canceled. Thank you, Gucci. Sorry, like, sorry. But they will cancel Kanye. They will cancel everybody who actually is creating culture for us, is actually making people pay attention for us. And again, Kanye, love him, hate him, whatever he is, he has done something, right? It's like in the basketball community. Vince Carter, love him or hate him, he did do something for basketball, and especially Toronto basketball. It is exactly. It is what it is. But so, like, I love that point, because we are so freaking quick to cancel our own people, but brands, okay, who have systemically shown that they don't give two rats ass about us, we still will take our money and put it into those brands. So we won't cancel Gucci, but we'll cancel Kanye. When's the last time Gucci invested in you? You would never catch me going into a Gucci. In 20, what, 19? Okay, not 1989. Not 1989. They made it last year. But we are quick, and I know many people in my life who are quick to go and buy Gucci, but they'll say, "Oh, don't really like what Kanye said, but Gucci was okay." What has Gucci done? Did Gucci come out and make a statement saying that they're reinvesting into the Black community, because the Black community has them in all kinds of music videos with Gucci belts and Gucci handbag and Gucci strolling through the airport? Gucci. Also nice. But why would they need to if they're still getting our dollars? Yeah, we as people. And that's so this is why cancel culture for me like needs to be canceled, like altogether. Because if you want to cancel people within our community because somehow mass media has told you that they've said something that is completely offensive, not even to us, but to them, the mass, okay, and we're quick to cancel them, but you will actually see organizations do things against us, like not things that you heard. Gucci wasn't something you heard from someone who came out of the back room and tweeted and said, oh, by the way, I'm under a secret account. We saw it. We saw the blackface sweater. They proudly had it with red lips, right? Big red lips, right? To mimic Black people's big lips. We saw it. It was visual. It wasn't on an anonymous account. And still there was an outrage for 2 seconds, but still people are going in and buying $3,000 Gucci purses. And never in my life, I don't care, I could win $70 million tomorrow. That's what's for me. Like I'm not a label person. I don't care. I won't lie. I do shop at Fashion Nova, and if you guys do hear something bad about Fashion Nova, I will stop shopping there. I no longer shop at H&M. I don't, I don't do, because I'm fundamentally, for me, it's like, if I'm gonna spend my money, I want to spend it in a company that would later reinvest in me if needs be. So if you're gonna go and buy Gucci, that's your business. But don't tell me, you can't then be on your almighty and say you're gonna cancel such and such while holding your Gucci purse. No, bitch, you need to be canceled. Okay. Tyrese? But it doesn't rise to cancel. You put him on pause, you put him on blast. But we ain't gonna cancel the man, because at the end of the day, who cares? It's his opinion. Move on. Who cares? That's not what he's saying. Okay, go ahead. Takeaway for the day.